Welcome back, traveler. The fire is warm, and every fire has its story, so cozy up and prepare yourself for tonight's tale. For tonight's story is not written in the pages of history, but whispered between smoke and memory. Join me by the fire and enjoy the story. The mountains were behind us, but the journey was far from over. After leaving the Stone Guardian, we followed the final message carved into the second marker. Where the sun disappears, the Forgotten King sleeps. For 3 days, we traveled south. The cold winds of the mountains slowly disappeared. The forests became fields. The fields became empty plains. And eventually, the world became sand. The desert stretched farther than anything I had ever seen. There was no clear path, no roads, no signs that anyone had traveled there before. Only endless dunes moving beneath the golden sun. The kind of place where you could walk for days and feel like you had never moved at all. Daniel looked across the horizon. So let me understand this. He adjusted his pack. We survived a forest that tried to hide us. We climbed a mountain that tried to break us. And now we are walking into a desert that probably wants to kill us. Thomas nodded. That sounds about right. Daniel looked at him. You know, most people choose easier adventures. Thomas shrugged. Most people don't find mysterious maps in taverns. Sarah walked ahead of us, holding the second marker. She had been quiet since the mountain, not because she was afraid, because she was thinking. The clues are connected, she finally said. Edward looked toward her. What do you mean? The first marker taught us to begin. The second taught us to let go. She looked down at the golden piece. The third one, she paused. The third one will reveal why the treasure was hidden. The desert tested us differently than the mountain. There was no monster, no ancient guardian, no obvious danger, only time. The endless heat, the lack of water, the silence. It slowly wore you down. A person could survive a battle, but surviving nothing, that was something else. On the 7th day, we found the first sign of the forgotten city, a stone pillar rising from the sand. Half buried, covered in writing. Sarah immediately moved toward it. She brushed away the sand. The symbol appeared, the 3 markers, but this time something was different. Below the symbol was another image, a crown. Daniel looked at Edward. William Hart wasn't searching for treasure, was he? Edward was silent. That answer told us everything. Sarah looked at him. You knew. The old man looked toward the desert. My family knew pieces of the truth, but never all of it. What truth? Edward took a long breath. The treasure was never the fortune of the Silver King. The treasure belonged to something older. That night, we camped beside the stone pillar. Edward finally told us the story his family had carried for generations. Long ago, before the kingdoms that now existed, there was a ruler known only as the Silver King. He was not remembered because of his wealth. He was remembered because of what he protected. A secret, a discovery buried beneath the world, something powerful enough that kingdoms would destroy each other trying to possess it. The Silver King realized people would never stop searching for it, so he created the 3 markers, not to guide people toward the treasure, but to prevent the wrong people from reaching it. Thomas stared into the fire. So all those people searching for gold, Edward nodded. They were chasing something they didn't understand. Sarah looked at the map. And William Hart discovered this. Edward looked away. Yes. What happened to him? The old man was quiet. Then he answered. He reached the final chamber, but he never returned. The next morning we reached the ruins, the forgotten city. It was buried beneath the sand, hidden from the world for centuries. Only the tops of buildings remained visible. Broken towers, collapsed walls, ancient statues, a kingdom frozen in time. As we walked through the ruins, I felt something I couldn't explain. It was not fear, it was recognition, like the city remembered everyone who had entered before us. At the center of the ruins stood a massive doorway, the final marker, the third symbol. Sarah placed the second marker into a slot beside it. The ground shook. The ancient door slowly opened. Inside was darkness, no gold, no jewels, no treasure, only a long hallway leading underground. Daniel looked disappointed. After everything we've been through, no treasure? Edward stepped forward. Wait. He pointed toward the wall. There was writing. The final message. Sarah read it aloud. The one who reaches the end must answer one final question. The hallway began to glow. Words appeared beneath. What is worth more than gold? Nobody spoke. Because for the first time, the answer wasn't hidden in a map. It wasn't protected by a trap. It wasn't guarded by a creature. It was something we had to decide ourselves. We walked deeper into the ruins, and at the end of the passage, we found a door made of silver, the same symbol carved across its surface. The final marker, the final test. The treasure was behind it. I could feel it, but standing there, with my hand on the door, I realized something. We had spent weeks searching for what was hidden beyond it, but maybe the real secret was what the journey had already taken from us, and what it had given us in return. The final door opened. A light poured through the darkness. And inside, we finally saw what the Silver King had hidden.